Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the October Occam Fairplay Fire Safe Council. We're happy to have everybody here. Going to go ahead and call this meeting to order for this evening. We do have a quorum, so we can make sure that we can vote on the couple of things that we have on the agenda. First off is the approval of this evening's council meeting agenda. Any adjustments to this evening's agenda? Any adjustments to this evening's agenda? Hearing none, I have an adjustment to item 6B. I forgot to remove the deferred to October, so Ken will be recording tonight on the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council.
Well, it is October.
It is October.
It
was deferred to October. So it was October, so we'll mark that off. So if everybody approves the agenda, we'll move on to the council meeting minutes. Did everybody have an opportunity to look at the last month's council meeting minutes? And thank you, Mike, for hosting the meeting last month.
Yep.
Any adjustments to last month's council meeting minutes? Hearing none. The treasurer report for folks in the audience, the council meeting minutes and the treasurer report are on the back table. Sandy, any comments on the treasurer's report?
No, we had $42 in from address signs, which brought us up to $1,503. And we just have to be careful that we don't spend too much money because there's not much coming in.
Understood. Thank you. Any comments on the treasurer's report? Hearing none, the treasurer's report is approved. So the chair report, thank you all for coming, and thanks to Mike for chairing last month's meeting while I was on vacation. Europe was wonderful, and so I'm happy to be back though. Today at the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council, one of the things that some councils had requested for a variety of reasons was an actual certificate of membership. So the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council has presented us with this lovely certificate of participation as a associate council within the county. I'm hoping that it will be okay with the Pioneer Park for us to frame this and stick it in some wall space here so that we can post this up for all to see. So thanks to the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council for giving us this lovely park.
Stay tomorrow.
Wait a minute, where are we going? Park.
I don't think I have anything else for this evening, Mike.
No, I don't have anything else related to timesheets or anything like that. I did a little bit of cleanup. There was some that came in after September 30th, but and Mike and I haven't chatted yet about the fire safe evaluations. Okay.
So thank you. Information items. Sheriff Sheriff K. Apparently I can't talk tonight.
Really on my end to report, just kind of everyone heard about the principal being arrested at Pioneer School, and we've had an SRO there this entire week. He'll be there the rest of the week to help answer any questions parents might have. But essentially, we're referring people to his office or the website, and the article there, and they have the button to click on to file or talk about it or request to speak to someone about it. Especially if one of their children were in
Yeah, sad news in our community about this. The principal was arrested at Pioneer Park. And you can go online and read why he was arrested.
Yeah. Amazing how close to home I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I just got one of my son bought the house right next door, so he and his wife live right next door, and but it's just that it does get close to home when we did all the work.
We just
In the creek there.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, well, did we work with the principal? Who's our contact?
Is it typically an SRO there?
Not always, because in general, most of our we don't have that high of a population out here, right? So usually I'm out here and I'd probably be the first one there type of thing before that happened.
Yep.
But we do have a lot of SROs right now that do cycle around. They're responsible for the schools in the county, so they do stop by time to time and just kind of be familiar face, right? And
Presence, yeah.
yeah, and I'm waiting for things to slow down a little bit for me because I plan to be involved with kids too, because I know through when I respond to the house, it's usually not always a good situation, so that'd be friendly face for them too.
Very good, appreciate that.
Thanks.
Good.
What you had to do yesterday? Participating in that. Other County Fire Safety Council, Ken.
Not a lot new, just, again, that the defensible space and shipping programs continue to be very popular. We're just, again, like we talked about, the month prior, when I reported out, just looking for additional funding. We did receive a grant from the State Fire Safety Council for $500,000 for defensible space. So that will help us continue the program. Our goal has been not to shut either the shipping or defensible space program for seniors down at all during the year. So it's kind of, keeping the lights on. It's been, almost barely moving the dollar. It's kind of like that scene in Miracle or It's a Wonderful Life when you have the last dollar, the bank open. That's kind of what it was this year with defensible space. But we're getting lots of good funding from the county and other partners. So and we're more grants on the horizon. So anyway, that's just been very well received. And we're trying to keep that going out there. A lot of updates on the website. The 3 applications were the priority: defensible space shipping and hazardous tree removal. Because we struggled all summer with pieces of those that were breaking down. But the entire website format's been completely updated, and those applications have been upgraded. And we've kind of been tying that into what the county's been doing, updating their website with the Office of All Fire Preparedness. So there's a lot of information that's out there right now. A lot of work to get all updated, but really trying to do all of that. May have seen a press release from the state CAL FIRE, the state fire marshal. El Dorado County was featured in the statewide press release as the pilot county for the statewide defensible space assessment program that the state is building. They've been using us. I've talked about this for a while now, but it's gone public with the fire marshal's office is taking credit for, in a good way, for all the work we've been doing and then engaging with us. So that is out there, more happening. County's working on the defense of the River Creek FEMA project. They've received about $1.3 million, $5 million to start the process, and then ultimately a $25 million part of the defensible space project on the south side of Placerville. So that's happening, and there will be, and they'll be reaching out to all of the associate fire safety councils, but we'll be hosting a breakfast for veterans on Veterans Day, the morning of November 11th, Saturday morning. Really trying to recognize the partnership, because the veterans were, along with the Friends of Seniors, really the first programs that started funding the defensible space program at like $5,000 a year. And that it was really, treating maybe 8 or 10 veterans or seniors. The program's now well over $200,000 a year, treating 150, 200 folks, I think, this year so far. But anyway, we wanted to recognize them, and also they didn't have a facility this year. The Veterans Hall at the fairgrounds had flooded last year, and there was silt up to the door, so they aren't able to host their breakfast. So we're partnering with them, and we'll be hosting a breakfast in the morning, and then they'll be going over to the Veterans Memorial at the county building for the annual ceremony. So that's kind of neat. It's a great opportunity. So again, the council is seeking anybody that wants to volunteer to help serve. All the food's being donated. So that is on the radar, and this grant's coming down to the road. There are CAL FIRE has said probably by the end of October, the tranche of CCI grants, the fire prevention grants funded by CAL FIRE, will be coming out, and those will be worked on throughout the course of the fall. I think they're doing sometime in January. So the grants committee for the council met today. They're kind of putting a plan together to see what are the priorities to look at and coordinating with the associate councils. So a lot of work going on in there, and then just processing and keeping up to date with all of the grants and activities going on around the county. And I think we have About 21 councils took advantage of the Title III funds for the Greenways Days, like we're doing in the family talked about it. So that was great. A lot of activity, just folks hosting Greenways Days around the county. That's a good one. That's now it's Mike.
When we got the South County grant, we, Alcom Fairplay, took 6 of our 12, 6 of our 11 sections out so that all the others could participate and throw in their work. Should we put those 6 back on the table for the new grants that are coming out?
I think I would sit down with the grants committee in Tamara and see where, because there's a number of things out there. There's some priority work in the Camino Pollock area along Highway 50. I think one of the County Fire Safe Council's priorities is going to be finding funds to keep the Shipping and Defensible Space program going. What CAL FIRE indicated was the Amarillo Dorado unit, it actually covers 4 counties, Amarillo Dorado, but also Sacramento and Alpine. And they average about $4 to $6 million a year funds that they get, grants that they approve for those 4 counties. So if you think about a $2 million grant or a $1.5 million grant, that's not very many for 4 counties. And so they're really, CAL FIRE is really pushing, hey, we want to put together good project sort of summaries. And they're going to look at all of those ahead of time and try to review them. And so that's kind of allowing the Fire Safe Council Grants Committee and others to sit down and look at how do we, maybe we set some of our own internal priorities, but everybody wants to put the best foot forward. And so what's the best opportunity? Historically, CAL FIRE's been looking at what are the first priority really been going to grants that fund the biggest, serves the most people in the county. And so they're definitely going to be looking at broader, bigger projects. And so I don't think anything's off the table. And I think it's just, are there ways to finish existing projects? How do we keep existing programs going that are high priority? I think so. Long answer short, I do think it's worth considering and putting in there and seeing how.
I'll send the message to Tamara. I have her email.
Good, do that. That'd be great.
So related to that, the county has undertaken an initiative to update or renew the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. The current plan that the Fire Safe Council sponsored 2 years ago,
Almost
3 years
3
ago, really only covered the various fire safe councils. So the county has put out a request for an RFP, looking for a vendor who will look at all of the west slope of El Dorado County and identify all of the projects that are priorities to help make our county more fire resilient, fire safe. So the request for the contract is out. I think the final filing date is November 3rd, I believe. So if anybody has any ideas for or knows a vendor or can share this information in your circles to get vendors who might have the skill set.
It's kind of a bigger, there's
this.
a number of vendors around the country that are kind of specialized in this now and trying to really take so the Fire Safe Council sponsored the Community Wildfire Protection Plan up till now, and if the councils hadn't done it, it wasn't going to happen then. So that's really what we're relying on for all of our grant applications. But the challenge with it is that not all the councils participated. And there are lots of holes in the county where there were no councils. And so the county's coordinating between the Tahoe Basin and the West Slope. So there really will be 2 community wildfire protection plans. The one that's currently being updated for the Tahoe Basin. And then there'll be an entire plan for the entire West Slope. That will cover all of the geographics, really quite right up to the summit where the 2 plans meet. And it will cover all the gaps. And so we'll start with the existing plan and then do some gap analysis to what's missing, and then do a hazard and risk assessment and really start looking at where are the priorities, where are the biggest issues, where's our infrastructure, all of those kinds of pieces, but then really start with a grassroots effort to build this thing from the bottom up. Very much what's been happening in other parts of the state. Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council just did their CWPP, and it's like you go online and you look at it, it's a very interactive online. It's not just one and done. They built a process where the vendor put all the projects in and it's online, but now they'll maintain it, or at least the council will, so the community and the public can see real time what work is being done on all of the proposals and activities. So we're looking, that's kind of the concept. I think the county is behind it this time, so it's really trying to make sure it's funded. And that it has the support across the board, because there were challenges in getting all fire districts to participate. It was just trying to get everybody at the table to provide the support. And we were fortunate at the time, John was really leading an effort for us to get into it here. And that's why we have what we have. And we want to ensure that that's happening across the board. And in the areas that don't have a fire safe council, we want to ensure those communities are covered, those areas are covered as well, because there are high risks in other parts of the county where we just don't have people engaged. So it's really looking at it holistically and not just about fire safe councils, but about sort of the whole landscape. So that will be going on for the next probably 12 to 18 months to get through the entire.
And it will be something that we as a council participate in.
Very directly.
John,
Let me answer the question, because I was just curious, at this point, do we know, would they be using the output from the councils that did without a CWPC?
Absolutely.
Where they do it all new?
No, it's basically building off of what was already there, but knowing things have changed, we've had a major fire since then, and all these things that we know are different. So it's updating all of that, and then just refreshing what projects are done and what new things have been identified. It's also plugging better into what's happening. So there are like 5 different planning efforts going on now. We've got the CWPP for the basin. We've got this one on the west slope. CAL FIRE is currently updating the unit strategic fire plan, which they're required to do every year. What goes by their different battalions around the county? Well, talks about lots of projects, fuel breaks and things, where their priorities are, where are they doing defensible space inspections? So we're talking coordination so that their plan, I mean, they're part of all this planning effort, so they're all dovetailed. Right? They've got to meet their requirement, but at the same time, what's in their plan is coordinated with what's in this broader county, and they're at the table helping facilitate this. The county, the Sheriff's Office OES section is currently updating the local hazard mitigation plan for the county. That's a plan that's required. If you're going to get any kind of FEMA assistance during disaster, you've got to have a local hazard mitigation plan. And so they're currently in the process. They just awarded a vendor and they're in the process of updating that. Well, they're very interested in engaging on the fire piece. They've been at the table from the beginning saying, we don't want to do this in a vacuum. Where are the projects? What do communities want to do? What does CAL FIRE want? What does the county want? So that's happening. And then probably the biggest thing happening right now is the general plan safety element, which is required. It's currently going through its revision, which is required every 5 years. And so the planning department headed the program headed by Thea Grable at the planning department. She has spearheaded the revision to this plan and has been very engaged with fire districts, CAL FIRE, the fire safe councils, really begging for input because she wants the plan to dovetail with all of these other plans. And so we've got these groups are talking all the time, making sure the language is where we need it to be. And so they're saying the same things are not in conflict. So it's a perfect opportunity right now that all this kind of synergy is coming to play. And I think the update to the CWPP is coming at a perfect time because we're going to be able to take advantage of all of these efforts that are going on. We've been gathering information. The Transportation Commission received a grant to look at some evacuation and traffic studies, and they ran some fire modeling, and so some of that will be plugged into some of the areas where they did their work. So things aren't happening in a vacuum like they've necessarily done in the past. A lot of folks are at the table putting this together. So it's just a different process, and it's fortunate that the county's been willing to embrace. So they put the sort of the force and the might of the board of supervisors and everybody behind our plan now, so that we'll, they get it, they'll understand it, and they'll know that everybody's been involved in the process.
and there will probably be an opportunity there will be meetings in South County. That the vendor will be participating in to get input, and we may have the opportunity to host some of those events jointly with our South County Fire Safe Council partners. So more to follow. Goal is to have that done by middle of next year or into the fall. So the activity will be ramping up here after the pursuit group. More to follow on that. Homo Ranch, shut up.
Okay. Omer Ranch needs to, I think, raise the last of the $200 for them to have all of their funding for the 2 water tanks that are going to be established on Sloy Gulch Road. They have cleared the area. They have compacted they've gotten in touch with the phone company to make sure there's no lines underneath. The fire department is working, with the people up at Elmo Ranch, and we will have another set of water tanks.
Nice.
So we're very excited about that. I believe that, and maybe I should, so I know that we're moving, this is more accurate. We're moving the chipper project to a different area of Elmo Ranch Fire Safe Council, so that we, serve not just this one area. It's been very convenient to do it there because there's space but this is also a type of recruiting for us. So we're gonna be going down to the, what would you call that, sir?
Although in
Cedarville. So that we can, there's an area there that we can actually have the chipper and it's safe enough to do. So, we're looking at that. Aside from the water tanks, and the chipper, that's basically what we have.
Thank you. And as always, thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Sand Ridge. Nobody from Sand Ridge tonight? Or Graceful Flat? So moving on to unfinished business, Mike, the South County Grant.
We didn't meet today because there was not really a whole lot to discuss from the last time we met 2 weeks ago. Robert from the consultant that's doing the project management said that they're still out doing biological studies or finishing those biological studies up. And beginning the process of marking properties where they're going to be doing roadside maintenance and shaded field breaks. So they're reaching out and contacting people that have signed their right of entry forms, and you'll probably start seeing flags appearing on trees and on roadside maintenance and so forth. It's still probably 2 to 3 weeks away from getting contractors in the woods, because they didn't start that process until our last meeting, and it takes about a month and a half for the contractors to kind of wind down from their current schedule and gear up. But it's coming. A little bit more rain and they'll get in the woods sooner.
Awesome. How is the right of entry process going?
I haven't had an update on that since our last meeting. Probably over 60% now, getting better. It was only about 35–40%. And I think, again, it's one of those things where Mark Egbert came and said, at some point you have to stop worrying about the ROVs. Once you get people on the road, and that's what I was going to do. There's so many people on the roads. I was on Bucks Bar today. They were doing the lines, and there's road crew. So when we do the roadside maintenance, we're going to have some signs that are legible that will say this work brought to you by the Cal Fire South County project, so that people know that it's the Fire Safety Council's performing the work or driving the work, and not Mountain Enterprises or not consulting anybody else. And that typically we'll have forms. If people are interested in they're in the zone, we'll hand them forms directly.
Perfect. Awesome, thank you. Any questions for Mike on the South County Grant? Hearing none. Item 7B is the Greenway State. As we have discussed the last meeting and a half, because I think we talked about it in September as well. We have a Greenway Day that is coming up in a week and a half on October 28th here at Pioneer Park. We have now started advertising it. I sent it to you, Jane, to put out into your feelers. Ken has posted it on the Occam Fairplay social media. I have provided it to the Allendale,
Mike.
not to Mike, to Mary Ellen, to provide to the Allendale. One of our focuses is Allendale in advance of the defensible space inspections that they're going to have. And then it's gone out to the entire mailing list that we have. So everybody should have gotten it in a variety of places. It's up on this wall, it's out front, it's at the post office. It's at the general store. Kim's gonna see if she can get it in the Roosters. So we have flyers, it'll be up on the website. We have flyers out and about. Please share, if hold once Gary gets it up on the website, you can pull the flyer down. If you have a place that you think of that we can post it, that'd be great. Because we only have $2,500 in the Title III money, and I'd really like to hold 2 of these. We did not do a mailer this year. We're relying completely on word of mouth, social media, and website, and posting it at post offices and such. I don't know really how beneficial the mailers were, whether that really got us any attention anyway. But we're gonna try. We'll see what happens. So we'll have 2 dumpsters here. I reached out to Hargos, and they are going to participate, to provide them a nominal fee. My goal is only to use half of it.
Yes.
So that in the spring, we can hold the second one. Of the $2,500. So whatever the dumpsters is, then I'll up to half. I'll give the rest to Hargos for participating with this. As they always do, and they're not asking for a lot. So, and John, I think we talked about. Did we talk about what we talked about? I think we talked about address signs. If you're not available,
No,
you're good.
I would
Okay,
say that either.
perfect.
Here, it's on the flyer.
And then Mike Cook will have sign-up sheets for defensible space evaluations.
Okay.
As well, volunteers are what we need at this point. So if you are willing to participate, in addition to myself and Ken and John, please let me know.
I'll come over.
Perfect. And I think Ken, you said you could be there for part of the day.
Could you
Awesome.
share the times, please?
9 to 4 on the 28th, Saturday, the 28th. The more chips, the merrier. So, I already have I contacted Pioneer Park, they're on board, and I submitted our insurance request for the event. So I think, from a check off the box, I think we hit all the high points. It's just getting the word out. Sure that everybody was aware, and I will send it to Pioneer Fire tomorrow. I realize I missed them in my list of things I was sending out to you this afternoon. So,
Just for what it's worth, in 30+ years of marketing, mailers only have about a 3 or 4% hit rate.
and
Most
they're
people
pretty
think
expensive.
about, yeah,
Word of mouth best.
so I think you'll, no matter what, you'll be better off with all the routes you're taking now.
Perfect. Thank you. That's helpful. So everybody, please join us on October 28th for our Greenway Day, and it will be loads of fun, just like they always are. And we'll work John's fingers to the bone. Wine signage project, Shyla and Kim.
So we have passed out. Everyone has, from the 4 councils, have signed up for going out to the wineries. And it has begun, and so far we have not been declined by the wineries that we have connected with. So all the wooden boxes are signed out. We were fortunate enough to have PBFA volunteer their fire extinguishers. And I understood that Jane, you had made them, or you had somehow obtained them, and they're wonderful. The duct tape has started to come off, so we pulled it all off, and then we put a collar in it. And Dan said that would not be a problem, so we want to thank you. We kept the character, and everything is they're great. So we have now 18 more of those. It's about 35 wineries that we will be Kidding.
That's awesome.
So it's a learning curve. I mean, the way we projected it in the very beginning is very different than what is happening now. But that's called you've evaluated, you grow. So we're excited.
Or live and learn.
Absolutely. The most important part, I think, has been connecting with the Ford council, fire safe councils, absolutely.
Well, we really appreciate you spearheading all of that. And look forward to good things coming from it, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, Kim?
No, I'm working on wineries right now. I know that October is real busy for the wineries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I got all
Grapes coming in.
Yep. It's in the middle of the line.
the fact willing to do things.
We have not. And they've been very receptive. And they've been very receptive because they see the logos of all four fire safe councils.
Nice.
And they kind of puff up.
It's a busy time for wineries, but you're dealing with the front of the house, right? The wine tasting rooms and so forth.
Exactly,
Yeah, they
And-
just
and-
need
and
it.
all the actions back there.
absolutely, it's
and
a
the,
factor, yeah.
So the gentleman that takes some of my grapes, he took in 19 tons, which is 38 bins in his winery today. So that's a lot of work.
We're all busy, I know.
Well, we're not asking for money, we're asking for just a
Space
Spot.
there,
Well, spot.
yeah. No, that's awesome, and I know that it's been a lot of work, and I know sometimes it's been a
work.
struggle. So we thank,
all the learning curves, yeah.
we thank you. Excellent. Defensible space evaluation reporting. Mike, have we had any new evaluations?
Well, if you want a quarters report, we probably have 4.
Okay.
The monthly report, we've had nothing come across.
Nothing in September?
No.
Okay,
So, and I apologize, I didn't see your email until today.
I'll send it later. So at the first, just before the first of every month, Carrie from the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council sends out a reminder to me.
Yeah.
And I forwarded to what I had asked was for Mike to kind of take the lead on reporting that. Just to kind of share the wealth of stuff that we're all doing.
Well, I can kind of understand why we're not getting any evaluations because CAL FIRE's been active out there.
Have they?
Oh, yeah, I got my property inspected 2 days ago. And they did all of them on my street. And so you know, I mean, it passed, but a little smiley face on there.
We
But
hope so.
yeah. But yeah, they've been very active. They're going through showcase ranches and they're actively out there doing evaluations. So, I mean, I kind of understand why we're not getting, you could probably explain that to why we're not getting a lot of evaluations because
Because of that.
CAL FIRE's out there mooching all our,
Getting that number, it's actually reported in the board packet that goes out to all the,
I think it's over, if you reported, it's just over 70. I think have been done year to date of, you know, countywide, just from the fire state council assessors that took the class. So
yeah.
it's definitely, people are, I mean, I think it's slow. The average time is about an hour and a half that the evaluators are spending with each. And it's,
That's about right, yeah. For a
Yeah.
good evaluation.
and I think what's different, though, is that, and I was one, they're, you know, the agencies are doing it because they're trying to get out there and make contact and sort of get some numbers and look at the amount of time that you'll see that the agencies will spend is different than I think what. Theirs is an inspection and they're looking for compliance. The Fire Safe Council program is about education information, really spending the quality time that you guys all do
Right,
with each homeowner. So really kind of a different,
exactly. Mine was done from my driveway. And
yeah,
and what we would do is we would, you know, evaluate and talk to the person
right.
and, you know, evaluate the hardness of the home and, you know, get a lot more in depth and talk to the person itself. But, I mean, I never saw the guy. My wife actually waved at us, he drove away, you know, and handed her flyer, you know.
So,
we're doing this, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, the good thing is
And they-
the insurance industry now is woken up and they actually have
I mean,
home hardening and principal speaks discounts.
You're right by your.
On your Cal Fire plan, you can get up to about 14, combined, you can get up to about 14.5% discount.
yeah, there's been a lot of, and maybe you want to bring that up, Janet, we were discussing it earlier, so the County Fire Safe Council is probably gonna host an insurance sort of discussion, early in the year, maybe January, because we've been at the Board of Supervisors, 2 weeks ago, and the Department of Insurance came and didn't really tell us anything we didn't already know, but they're all alluding to that same piece, and it's a little bit nebulous for a lot of people, but there's a lot going on. I guess I probably should have brought that up. So Jan and I have been working with the county on to get all of the discounts that Mike referred to, that the county has to do some work too. To be a fire resilient community, that designation comes from the State Board of Forestry, only happens every 2 years. And there's a punch list of things that have to happen for any of us to be eligible, and it's kind of beyond our scope. It's there are processes for the county to adopt very high fire hazard severity zoning. There are requirements to report any tentative track maps as they're being approved by the Planning Commission of the Board of Supervisors. There have to be fire safe mitigations that go and plans that go with each of those tentative track maps, and those have to be reported to the State Board of Forestry so they're on file. All that has to have happened since 2013. So we're sort of pulling the layers of the onion back to see, and working directly with the county on it, but pulling this back, and yeah, that probably hasn't happened. And so we literally there's a group working between CAL FIRE and us to figure this out, and we're really close to figuring out what we have to do, and then we can go to the boards. We're very tuned up to want to make this happen. So the idea is by April of 2024, we have to have met all these pieces, have all of our stuff into the Board of Forestry, and then the county can be designated as a fire resilient community, and that's a big chunk of part of the discounts Mike's referring to. So there's FireWise, there's fire resilient communities, there's a number of facets to all of this. There's some other programs out there we just talked about today at the County Fire Safe Council where you do a whole assessment of your home. You can hire a vendor to do a whole assessment of your home. They provide a report to the insurance provider, and then that in turn provides a part of this makeup of this discount. It's really complicated right now with all these different pieces, and a lot of it's sort of changing as we go along based on decisions being made by the insurance commissioner and legislation. And so we're trying to get all this wrapped up together into sort of one package where we can keep people informed and more coming out. So in addition to the County Fire Safe Council, I suggested to Janet today, maybe we think about our own workshop out here later in the year with some of our partners and the other councils like that. So
Yeah, we had talked about maybe having a joint fire safe council event, not necessarily a meeting, but an event where maybe we can host something to get people out, whether it be do the hot dog thing or whatever, and then have an insurance presentation, have the sheriff out there, have everybody come and talk about what we do to meet some of these requirements and on the side do the operation and all of those things. So it's the idea is extremely in its infancy, but it is a thought for not too long after the first of the year. John.
We have enough help on that subject.
I don't know. I think part of it right now is more internal, trying to cipher through the planning department to see and kind of working at higher levels. And then once we determine what needs to happen, we just basically have to take a process to the board for them to adopt so that these maps will go in. The rest of it is really it's tying in FireWise. So we're fixing the FireWise program because as we all know, we haven't really had FireWise hasn't landed anywhere, and we were all helping different communities. And I know we'll talk about it later, but Janet and I and others, after we got our FireWise, sort of helped other fire safety councils get theirs a few years ago, and now that's going around. So with FireWise being such a big piece of this discount, everybody wants to feel it. Well, that's generated a whole workload for the county to help make maps, and it's generated workload for councils and teams to understand how to become FireWise. So the county, in partnership with CAL FIRE, has developed a process where we've got regional coordinators. There's a regional coordinator at the county tied in with the CAL FIRE regional coordinator, tied in with the Lake Tahoe regional coordinator. So you can go to one webpage of the county now and see who the contact is. It's sort of a portal in. And Richard Galvin is the one doing it for El Dorado County, and he's just doing an amazing job of starting to connect with everybody. And so I guess long roundabout way to get back to you, John. I guess we'll just stay tuned to see how all this works. But I think the pieces of this piece are going to require a lot of it's going to be assisting people with some of the outreach and information. The county designation, we're going to get there, but I think it's a lot of these other pieces where people are going to need help. I think it's workshops, it's a lot of these pieces. And to be honest, John, when the CWPP process happens, I think that's something you could really help with. But the work you did with us when we first started this last go round, and then I just really hosting meetings out here and facilitating and bringing people together. Because the CWP is a huge piece of whether it's directly responsible for these discounts or more importantly, it's really about a roadmap to get a lot of this work done. And it will recognize all of these different programs. And I think it's going to be a yeoman's effort for all of us to sort of bring all this together at the grassroots level and then tie it all up into one big plan. So
down the road, there's an opportunity to volunteer.
yes, I guess that was my long answer. Yes. Yeah. It's not quite ready for prime time.
You need to think more like John. There's only a few words that come out when you pull the string.
Never know, because you don't get the background that way.
I have 2 brothers, and if I want a short answer, I call one. If I want a long answer, I call the other one.
Well, it's the only chance we ever get to really talk about what's going on.
No, I'm teasing you.
You know, so.
Teasing.
Any other questions?
No, so finishing up with the festival space, I'll be out there with the on the Green Day waste, and hopefully we'll have some volunteers out there also with our defensive space program. We'll be there for questions on home house hardening, and maybe we won't be pressuring as hard as we did last time on
Sign up.
home house evaluations, but we'll be there in case people want to get their houses evaluated, and maybe help them educate on house hardening and such, how to prevent on fires, and some on the new rules for 0 to 5 coming up maybe next year.
And we still have a lot of flyers
We
here.
also have flyers. We'll be bringing flyers out, have flyers and such.
So
So
whatever you need.
we'll set up the table out there. Excellent.
Going back to the Greenways Day, I wanted to make a suggestion to the group. If we are going to continue to host these, which I think I would like us to do that, I'm wondering about maybe a banner that says Green Waste Day today, or whatever it says, but a big banner that we can put out at the road as another draw, not just because we have the project sponsored by Ockham Fairplay, but something that says green waste, that we maybe get out on the roadways, another method for advertising.
Would the other fire councils be willing to go in so we can all use it, or would that not be good?
It depends on if you want your logo on it. Yes, ma'am.
I was at the West Slope workshop, and they asked for volunteers for some December parade in Placerville. What I understood is that they were going to reach out to the fire safety councils, and they were offering to print banners for each fire safety council, and with that, have them at the parade and then give them to each fire safety council. That was the first I heard about it, and that was just last Sunday. And I said, boy, that December is coming around the corner. If you were expecting fire safety councils to do something like that, they only meet once a month. So hopefully you get your letters out and I mean, it was kind of like you guys were all fire safety councils for the last to hear that they want us involved with this. So my understanding is if it goes through, they're offering some big banner.
Interesting.
So expect a letter, I guess I should say.
Okay, and we also have our $200 annual Title III reimbursement for public outreach that we could use for such event. That's what everybody thinks is a good idea. Thoughts from the group?
Maybe if there was a spot underneath it to where you could put a date on it, you could use for future, like
Yeah.
a date on it, you could write in the date.
Yeah, I thought about
Take
how
it,
how we
date.
might.
Yeah,
So just have like Velcro and just Velcro the dates on.
yeah, something like that.
But I would put it up probably at least a week ahead,
Yeah.
get people,
If we don't have it yet.
yeah.
Well, I guess to follow up on that, this, name the house and then advocate for signs. So when we started the council, I put out in advance of meetings and things, at least a week or two, I had 5 different signs with 5 locations, January. Depots and tried to find an owner that I could ask. Sometimes if I wanted to, we split them up. Is something like that useful, or we can Greenways Day, Super Day, kind of. Hard.
I think it would be. It just, that you would take one of us to actually go out and put all those up.
All I did before now, I can do it again.
I absolutely should. And we've got places we can put them up. So we get one big banner and then some smaller signs. Or,
The kinds of things I'm talking about is basically really cheap. Cheap piece of foam board with a paper sign that gets taped to it. It's disposable. Put a new sign on another year. Show you because the paper will last.
depending on the weather.
I think the banner for here, it's great. And, not to pick ways, not at all, but putting a sign at Somerset, with a sign down at Ockham, at several intersections.
I think
It's hard for anybody to miss.
that would be great if we're willing to take that on. That's awesome. Thank you, John. And then we will continue thinking about
I'll
the,
let you know what the sign might look
okay, sounds good. Moving on to unfinished business item E, Hub Day. The county library in conjunction with, a partner in Lake Tahoe has hosted Hub Days. And they are they are held here on the same day as our meeting. They're primarily a way of getting outreach to socially vulnerable folks in the county. There is a meal, lunch provided that folks can sign up and get. And we have participated in 2 of those Hub Day meetings to provide information. At neither of those meetings or those events was there a lot of interest in the information that we were providing. The folks were more interested in getting the meal and signing up for health services or other activities. So we declined to participate today, and unless something significantly changes where there might be interest in our information, we probably won't participate in the future. But I just wanted to let folks know where we kind of landed on that. There was no interest at all.
And it's not that it's a bad program, it's a
No.
great program, but it's just not a lot of people coming in and out, and when they do, they're for the food bank or whatever's going on over there, but it's just a new program.
And both Sandy did last month and Kim did August. And neither one of them had any interest from the folks that were attending. So as a board, we've decided that we would not do that for this month, and we'll reconsider in the future if it looks like there might be more interest in our activities, but at this point, we're not going to participate. Moving on to item 8, new business, our Firewise renewal. And you want to chat about that?
We renewed it today.
So thanks to Mike for gathering all of the timesheet data, but we entered it in onto the website today and met our renewal criteria in terms of hours and dollars. So you want to share what we listed all of the events? Ken, you want to share what we have on there?
Yeah, we're just in the, we're at a sort of in between year. The risk assessment is required every 5 years, so that's due up in 2026. And the action plan is a 3-year action plan. We just updated it last year to the new format. It will be due up in 2025. So we just indicated that we're rolling those forward. Obviously, we have to have a board, and so this board is the executive board is the board for the Firewise community, and then there's just several criteria that have to be met. Educational outreach activities that we perform throughout the course of the year. There's no minimum requirement, but Janet and I just went through and tried to highlight the things that we have done, and it's all part of the action plan that we have. And I would just propose, and we can go through this in the future, but at some point we should just share this around. And I think it's a very good document, not just for what we do under Firewise, but kind of guides the things we've been working on. Defensible space evaluations, our green waste days, our work with Chris in the sheriff's office for discussions on evacuation, our other community programs, working with Hub, even literally fixing the web internet connectivity, are all things we had in our action plans that report to our outreach. And so we incorporated all those in, and we just, they're in our action plan, but we highlighted that in the document. And I printed out a copy, and I can certainly send around the hard copy document, Jan, or I'll give it to you if you want to send it around later. But at the end of the day, we just have to meet a minimum goal. We have 1,075 residents in El Dorado County, or in Alcoa Fire Safe Council. We're required to spend $29.95 per parcel per year. So it's basically 1 hour worth of work per parcel per year. And we beyond that, because if we had to meet 29.95 per dwelling unit, we did 90.82. And that was directly related to the timesheet information that was collected that Mike compiled, that we put in here for 2 different categories: fuels reduction, defensible space work, and then other outreach, admin, all these meetings, all this time counts if we're collecting it. And then anybody that actually hired contractors directly, and I think both Mike and Janet did that this year, if it's doing work related to fuels reduction, that counts. And so we take the dollar amount. There's a separate place in here we put that in, and that all goes towards meeting our minimum, per parcel. And again, the work that Janet and Mike are doing, everybody else is doing, everybody's getting benefit for it. So, and I guess that's if I had a take-home message, is you've got a very small percentage of people, mostly in this room and a few others, doing the work that's benefiting 1,075 people. So I think, and they're all but now eligible potentially with their insurance carrier to get a discount, and the certificate gets filed on the website. So if the insurance carrier asks, they can be pointed to the website, or they can do their own, evaluator, go back through NFPA and validate that. But at the end of the day, the hard work that a small group of people are doing is benefiting a much broader group. And I guess that's just my take-home message: is the more people we can get engaged in carrying the load, because they're all benefiting from the hard work that just we submitted it this afternoon, and they were all due in by November 17th. It'll probably take us 3 to 4 weeks minimum to hear back. Many of the councils are starting to get theirs back renewed, and every once in a while we miss something and they'll come back and ask us for something. But we feel pretty comfortable that we've hit everything and more on our work plan for the year. So again, thank you to everybody. You made our work easy because we just had to go there and update. But the hard work will come. Not so much for the work plan update, because I think we're going to be keeping that up to date as we go. But the risk assessment's going to be another lift, because we have to go back out and do an assessment like we did 3 years ago throughout our entire area, and evaluates all the work that it's truly based on the work that the defensible space assessments are doing. And we have to do that for a broad cross section. We did 20% of our community the last time, and we need to at least do that much, if not more. So there will need to be a big effort prior to 2026 to update our risk assessment. More. Yes.
So do I understand that each council actually has fluctuating dates? It's given that it's on a cycle of 3 years or 5 years.
Yes, everything is due up on November 17th, but yes, you may, depending on when you started. Your 5-year risk assessment started on one day, and then, so you may be due up.
But every year that November is a due date.
Yes.
Okay, I just. Yeah, obviously I don't do it, so. Yeah.
You can vote whoever does.
So thanks to Mike, thanks to everybody who did a time sheet. I know that our number for contractor work will not be as high next year, at least on my behalf.
Yeah, you don't know that.
So that is something we need to be cognizant of, that number will be down a bit next year, and that we will need to make it up with everybody who does timesheets, and these meetings count. So if you come to the meetings, please do a timesheet. For the board, it would be nice if we could get everybody to submit their timesheet to Mike on a monthly basis, so we can keep track. Not have to do it all at the last.
I have a special folder.
So.
Well, I had some contractor work as well this year. I'll have some more.
Awesome.
I mean, it's not big numbers, but.
It'll be about 10 grand for me, or more.
Well, that's what we also need to make sure is I will make sure that next year we get a hold of Jessica at the El Dorado County Fire Safety Council for all of the work that folks do in their defensible space in the grant stuff where they apply for grant work, chipping in defensible space, because we can pull that as well.
Just related to that, there's a question
Yes, sir.
on the hazard tree program. Not knowing much about it, I mentioned it to a couple of neighbors that now have burned trees of the Rock Tree Fire. Do those trees, are they eligible for that program?
So the
That
tree
could be
has to be,
contractor.
the tree has to be a risk to their primary residence. So it's not
Only the
every.
residents, not the roads.
Correct.
That rules, what's that?
Yeah. So there is a description on the El Dorado
The
County.
hazard to the road is serious.
Yeah. There's a description on the county website, the El Dorado County Fire Safety Council website. But I believe it has to be a risk to the primary residence. Yes, sir.
Is there a mechanism for, like, say, the arbors? If they're doing work on the property in the council, if that owner does not submit, and they submit to the council.
I think the hard part is making sure we don't double count. That work, whether it be through because they do a lot of work for the grant programs. And then John may already turn in invoices for them, so I think as long as we're not double counting, if they want to submit something, we can consider it.
Do you have timesheets available at your Greenway State?
So we have
for
time.
people that normally do not come to meetings could actually fill out one, and
We will have timesheets at our Greenway Stay, and we also have them at the post office for folks to pick up.
well, I've seen them there. That's a great idea, but I just wondered when they come to get their stuff unloaded, you handed them a timesheet and then.
Yeah, we could do that. It's a great idea, because then we can talk to them about Firewise as well while we're there. Any other comments on Firewise? All right, item 9, public comment. Anybody, any comment?
I just want to throw it out. Indian Day School is doing a haunted house this Saturday, November 8th. And it's $7 a person or $20 a family. All proceeds go to the Indian Day School. So just something to throw out there. I know it's a word quality. And for the Greenway Day, I talked to one of my supervisors, put on their radar, so a lot of deputies swing by. We had an issue, I did hands cross calls this year, and there were a couple of applicants, so with the mobile station, they'll drive it in and out, so it was let people know for that, so.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's always nice to have you here.
And some of them might be the actual trailers that are hauling something.
They were, and we did have some interesting stuff come in. Council comments, any comments from council members?
Yes, I had a thought for next year. And if there's a group in the council that might want to put together to talk about planning for some hot dog socials or something like that.
Yes,
To try to get a little more people involved and maybe a few more council.
I would like that very much.
You know, there's a common theme that was arising this morning at the council about everybody's waning in participation. And then Pat Dwyer stood up in Logtown, and they had like 70 people at their hot dog social this weekend, and they raised like $2,500.
Wow.
Wow. They had a auction and.
Oh, wow.
I think Elizabeth at Sandwich does that several times a year, and it's done well. I know Julie and you, Shadow over in Omaha Ranch have held some too.
I think it's Frank's just, you know,
Yeah, they did it several weeks ago. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. We need to do something.
there's expertise out there and want to do it.
We had a social gathering this weekend with a realtor friend of ours. And we didn't see the hamburger hot dog stand until after we got our, tried to. I started on having a hot dog. I haven't had one of those in years.
So Indian Diggings has a popcorn machine. I know because I donated it. And they were very receptive to PDFA using it at their pioneer events. So if that's something that you would like, because it was given to them with the understanding that if any other nonprofit would like to use it, they're welcome to use it. The only thing is if you do use it, you are very mindful on how you clean it up so that Connie doesn't have to re-clean up after you.
Thank you. That's
Love popcorn.
awesome.
I do have it's not too arcane question. So if you look at Firewatch, and if you've been around our area last weekend, there's been a lot of smoke in the air. And if you look at Firewatch or Watch Duty? It seems like thankfully, there's no big fires, but there is a ton of, what do they call them?
Prescribed fires.
Prescribed burns going on. Is that by design? Because they're available?
Right, so in the perfect prescription right now to do it.
If I give you the exact.
As much done as they can for that, the better.
That's a fire out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Forest Service has a number of prescribed burns going on. We did add their information to the public outreach page on the county OWAPR website, the wildfire preparedness website. So you can find it there, but you can also find it on Forest Service website. But they have a number of projects they're working on.
But a lot of confusion right now because burning is not open at the lower elevations in our areas. Although unfortunately there was a lack of coordination, but Placer County did CAL FIRE open a new Placer. It's not open in El Dorado, and people got a little confused, but it's not ready here yet. It's just the lower elevations are still.
The thing that was crazy for me, we looked at the weather app, and we sit up high about 2,100 feet. And when we were having our porch time, as we like to call it, you could see that the wind was going west northwest. So even though those fires, Diamond Springs, and there's another one on the other west side of Port Head, they were kept relatively small, an acre and a half, and they were out. The smoke trail went all the way, it was very visible in the sky. It went for miles.
Well, and something to remember is Amador, El Dorado takes in Amador County, which is south of us, and they're not ready to open yet. So it's a broader unit than just right here. And I know everybody got excited when Nevada Unit Placer opened up. And why didn't we open up here? Well, we're not ready.
Yeah.
This unit. So you can't open up part of it, not the rest. So it's just a timing issue and the weather and the fuel issues. All right, with no other comments, I want to thank everybody for coming and participating, and our next meeting is November 15th, and we will see you there. Thank you, Sandy, for